Welcome to CITAM Church Online. This is Pastor Karita Mbagara, the senior pastor at CITAM Karen. In our last video, we started talking about prayer from the book of Habakkuk. We saw Habakkuk questioning God and asking, "How long will I call on you and you do not answer?" God is a faithful God. He did not keep silent forever. He answered Habakkuk. In chapter 1 from verse 5 through to 11, God answers Habakkuk. Verse 5 tells us what God said or starts to say. He says, "Look at the nations and watch, and be utterly amazed, for I am going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told." What God is telling Habakkuk is that I am going to answer your prayers, and I will judge the evil men that you're talking to me about that are doing evil in Israel or in Judah. But I will do this in astounding ways. He says in verse 5, "Look, watch, and be utterly amazed." All these are in the present continuous tense. In other words, God is already at work. While Habakkuk thought that God was not at work, God was already doing something. But he was going to do it in a different way from what Habakkuk expected. You see, when we pray to God, we have in our minds what and how we want God to answer. But God tells Habakkuk, "I am going to raise the Chaldeans." Now, the Chaldeans are the Babylonians, who were evil men, and they were terrible. Actually, when you read the chapter, you see that God even says they are a proud people. They are a ferocious group of men. They are worse than what the men that were evil in Judah. But these are going to be the battle axe that God is going to use to punish the people of Israel. And what God seems to be suggesting or telling Habakkuk is this, that because the people in Judah believe might is right, I am going to use that very thinking or principle to actually discipline them and show them that it is not always right. I'm going to use the evil men of Babylon or the Chaldeans. They are the ones that I'm going to use. And by this we can say that God is ruthless when it comes to dealing with sin. And he will use even evil men to do his work. Actually, can I tell you that the devil is God's devil? And the devil only does what he is allowed by God. And God uses him as an instrument to do his own work. Not that the work that the devil does is God's work, but God allows the devil to do works of judgment on behalf of God against those who are against God. So we learn that when we pray to God, God will answer, but he may not answer the way we ourselves are expecting him to answer. I think the second lesson that we find here for Habakkuk is this. He expects, that if I pray in this way, God will come in this other way. But God is telling him, don't pray expecting me to come in a particular way. Allow me to do my thing in the way I choose to. And therefore, Habakkuk should be praying, "Open my eyes to see what you are doing." And isn't that a lesson that we ought to learn? Because sometimes we want God to act in a particular way. Instead of asking God, "Let me see what you are doing in a particular situation." And he's already at work in that particular situation. I think the third lesson that I want to draw out of this is this, that knowing God and his character and his ways is inevitable to appropriate way of praying, or it is important for us to know God, to know his character, to know his ways if our prayers are going to be right. When you know his ways, when you know that he is sovereign and he can answer the way he chooses to answer, then you allow him to operate in his ways. God is not given to quick but forced solutions. He is given to real solutions. And he is going to do that in the life of Habakkuk. I pray that we will learn to do that. We also should be quick to wait on God and to trust him to be acting on our behalf. And if you're going through a situation and you have asked God to answer and you seem to be seeing your Chaldeans being raised instead of the answer that you expected, just know that God is at work. And at the end of it all, you will be praising and worshiping God if you do not give up. I want to hear what you think about what I have said in the detailed social networks that are listed out at the bottom. God bless you.